Hello everyone, here Fernanda Ghi, and one more time, and this beautiful time with a very old friend. And the idea of this is because of my tango. Because of my tango, I met very amazing people with completely different backgrounds. People who I learned from, people who became part of who I am, people who were very generous. And one of these persons who I will present her more as an artist, even though she went through many different aspects and careers in her life, but I always consider her a real artist, someone who is connecting through her body, soul, and mind. She's a dancer, she's a producer, she's a promoter, she's an amazing hat design. She is now in a new stage in her life since we reconnect in a very spiritual time. So I want to welcome to this interview because of my tango, Susan Lake. Hello, Susan. ¿Cómo
Hi,
estás? How
Fernanda.
are you?
Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
It's very true. It's how I feel, and it's been over. We were trying to think about it. I think it's been over 20 years, 90 years.
Oh,
I lost track. I sometimes I don't even see backwards, and I just feel we haven't seen each other in a long time. I don't remember when was the last time, but like I said on the beginning of the presentation, are people that you cross path in life, and doesn't matter you don't see it. No, matters because I would love to see you more often, but still you feel that they are in your life. You are connecting. I don't know if you understand this feeling of
yes, of course.
you
Yes,
you met with these people once and make it impact in your life, and you see, okay, and that happened with not so many but few people that I said, that's it, this people is going to be in my life forever, and I wanted you to know that you are one of these persons.
well, thank you very much. I feel the same way. I think our association began way back in, I believe, the 1997 or 6, way back when. And at the time, I traveled to Argentina with a group of students, and we came to see you dance at that time.
You
And
remember that was 90, 99, 98, 99?
right back in there. And I remember as we were sitting in the audience, I remember thinking to myself, what a magnificent opportunity to see dance at its highest. I remember the people we were sitting with were in awe of what you were doing on the stage. And I had never dreamed what would be the days ahead and how our association would grow and how we would work on projects together. And then move through many of the transitions in our life. But as you say, it became a lifelong a friendship that we don't always need to be in total contact every single day. We just have that sense of oneness between us.
And that's something that I come up with this idea of this program because I think sometimes we don't realize it. We take it for granted that this tango is a bridge for connecting us with many different people, many different experience. People don't know, or they don't put attention how beautiful and is, because I remember you were already in tango, yeah? You was
Mhm.
studying in tango at that time because tango was not that popular like it is these days.
Yeah.
And if you allow to, if you tango and many other things, but I just said tango because is my bridge with the rest of the world, right?
Yes.
And it's that's amazing opportunity to open yourself and receive. There is just no, because with you tango was the bridge, but and then you are a woman of multiple talent and multiple experience, and that's why I think you are attracted to tango too, because you require a little bit of this presence and fully being involved in life in order to dance a good tango, right? And so you have this.
So for me, when I went to school and I studied and went to school for the performing arts, I believe the artists are instinctually very organic about the way they experience things in life. And I think one of the things about dance that connects us all is that many times we don't have the words to say what we're feeling, but it instinctually hits something inside of us that is common to all of us and that we don't tap into very often. And I think the uniqueness of the tango is the story of humanity. It's
Mhm.
the story of people coming together. It's about what do we share in common? What are our differences? How do we look at that at a global picture? And how do we express it physically? So it
Mhm.
incorporates us using all of our senses and in that way brings us together as a people.
What was, if you have to say something, you remember, what was, but the very honest way, what was your first um, connection with tango? Why you choose tango? Like,
Mhm.
regardless what is coming after, what tango brought to your life, but what was the first thing who said, oh, I want to try this, I want to do this?
I was going through a major change in my life. At the time I was introduced to a tango, I was going through a divorce actually at the time. And two friends of mine took me to go to see Forever Tango
Hmm.
in downtown San Diego. And I remember sitting there, and as the world did at that time,
You
thinking,
was a dancer already, you were
yeah,
involved in
I
dance
was
world
there.
already.
I had a school, I owned a dance school. And I remember sitting there and I remember thinking, what kind of magic is this? It was an impact to everybody on a very, very deep level. Even when you can't say exactly what it is you like about something, you instinctually feel it. And
Attractive.
yeah, and I think number one, it was visually beautiful. Number two,
Yeah, that show particular was very powerful
yeah,
visual, they have a very impact, and everybody was different, it was like it characters, and yes,
yeah.
yes, I remember that.
And you have to remember the power of the music, that the vibration, the sound of tango is such that the power of the music talks to us on all different emotional levels. And to see stories played out on the stage by these magnificent people who were doing things with their legs that we had never before, telling stories in such a way that, was almost taboo in a way. We thought of it as,
Mhm.
ooh, that's a very taboo story we're telling there, was very powerful. And to me, it spoke to me on all emotional levels. And I really connected to, I wanted to know more
What
about what I
about
was
that?
seeing. Yes.
And then when you immerse into the tango world, again, be as honest. I know you're an honest person, right? And this is the idea. I want to really connect with the person that I know,
Mhm.
beside the public figure that you are, but the person that I know you always are very, very honest on your thought. And that's what I wanted to capture in this type of interview that I do it with people that I choose because of that.
Mhm.
And what was your, this was your first impression when you get in touch with tango, but after that, when you were in tango, that sensation stayed, that sensation went away, or you went even deep? What was the continuation of the first impression and the reality when you really start experience the tango?
I think if to understand the depth of it, I think one almost has to look at it at a psychological level.
Hmm.
For me personally, number one, we're going through trauma. And in the dance, the cry of the music, the avenue to be expressive in demonstrating those feelings becomes more than just the dance. No matter what level we are as the dancer, we see ourselves in the pain of the dance. On the other end, we also see the story evolves in the tango to that either the woman gets a happy ending or the woman is left, whatever we see, and we identify with that. And so, therefore, we want to be part of that. And we want to be able to express in the ways we see the dancers we see expressing that. And it, in that way, allows us to tell our story physically when we may not be able to talk
To
about it.
communicate it
Yeah.
verbally. Do you find the culture aspect of the Argentine tango was something that was important to try to understand? You find yourself, because I know you have a background, I think your family is from Italy, right? You have some Italy in you, and I know you a little bit more and I know you have some Latino type of thing in you that is in you persona. Do you think it's important to understand the culture of Argentinian in order to emerge better, to insert better on the tango, or at this point it doesn't matter really?
Well, I think, first of all, there are certain cultures that allow themselves to be more vulnerable, and there are certain cultures that are more reserved. So, for the ones that are very eager and open and willing to allow themselves to be vulnerable on the dance floor, as in life, it's like this smorgasbord of permission to be everything you want to be. For those who are more reserved, perhaps it allows them the one avenue in their life to be someone else, to express beyond what they're allowed to do in their everyday life, which is extremely important, extremely important. And so, therefore, you become submerged in almost the cult of the tango. I want to live that life. I want to I want to historically see myself as coming from whatever situation I come from and adding to right now. What can I bring to this right now? I think one of the beauties of the tango is it is such an improvisational dance that we feel we can express ourselves on the floor because there are no restrictions in that sense where we may not be able to do that in our everyday life.
Mm-hmm. So, how many years you were involved in the tango?
Well, I think that to be fair, it was 1997, maybe 96. And then the last tango ball was in 2006. So, we're talking, we're spanning many, many, many years.
Because you became a student, to become a teacher, to become a organizer, promoted, and then you produce this event. So you explored different levels in terms of the tango possibility, the tango world. What is the tango and Susan Lake relationship today?
Well, it was, for me, I believe it was my platform to demonstrate, number one, as when we talk about dancers, there are many different kinds of dancers. And for me, as a mover on a dance floor, it gave me permission to be completely out of the box at the time. As I said, for me, it was a chance to intellectualize as well as express in different ways. I felt in the tango, for me, when I brought it to San Diego way back when, I introduced it in many ways. We had the milongas, we had the school, we had the exchange with artists. When I started initially the tango ball, it was a way to bring cultures together, an international culture, a culture meeting one another. So where Argentina and the United States on the dance floor became partners. And I felt that it was really important for the community to embrace an international cachet to where we learned about people. That's how we learn about people. I believe dance is the vehicle that is the common thread of humanity, which teaches us about one another that doesn't in any other way. I remember you and I and several other educators wrote the first World Cart, the World Council for Argentina.
Yes, I always mentioned that was not even exist the competition in anywhere, and we were very much to try to, and people were very were not ready yet. I think it was a very mature time for us to present that. We were like very avant of the time, but but I think was the what I see today was what we were trying to do it back then, right? This idea of letting people improve the tango, letting people define what is a stage and what is social through educated, because at that time was because of the influence of the tango shows, people didn't really understand the difference between being a performer and being a social dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all put it on the same packet. And I remember ourselves been very much on the you know how people label artists, and we were the label of a stage dancer. And no, we were, yes, we were a stage professional on the stage, but we also understand very much what was to be on the social aspect and what was the tango that you dance in the social aspect. And I think that was one of the motivation. I see it today more clear. People see, oh, this is stage, this is social, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time was that didn't exist that way. So that was one of the amazing things that I remember the competition was about it.
Yes, yes, yes. It was a time we were, as we might say, right on the cutting edge.
Yes,
We,
it's true.
yeah, we actually, I believe, and I'd like to believe, we laid the groundwork for what later came. And there was a, there needed to be a dialogue in the world, a cooperative between people. And like any new venture, it takes, as you say, maturity, it takes time, it takes patience, and in
And
today's,
resource too. You need to have something to support and bring. That's one of the more difficult things, right?
yes, yes,
So, but we are talking about close to which year? Do you remember when was the last tango ball that you did it in San Diego?
2006, 2006.
2006. Okay, and then your life changed, and then you
For me,
became.
yeah, for me, one of the fascinations that I found about the dance was it was about the human condition. It was about what am I feeling and why can I express this physically but I can't express this verbally. And I became very interested in how people work, and you can appreciate this. Before any dancer goes onto the stage, there is a preparation that happens that is takes place within. There's a
Mhm.
preparation that you unite with something greater than yourself. You, as you walk onto the dance floor, you resign, you surrender all of what you knew, all of what you studied, all of what you think, and you are presently in that divine ordinance which says, and here it is.
Yes.
At that moment, you're not really on the conscious level we are like right now. There is a higher level of consciousness that takes over, and that allows you to be an expression of something greater than yourself in your everyday life. Yes.
You know, it's fascinating that you just said beautiful, because sometimes I try to express that and people are, it's very hard to communicate it that, because I think this is when you really are tangoing, in this case, because we are talking about tango, but in dance in general, when you're a performer and you work so hard, maybe like 1 2 year, you know, like to accomplish something, and then when you're in that moment, is you're not yourself anymore. You just open yourself to the present moment and to the experience. And I think that should happen when you get yourself on the social embrace, you know, on the tango as well. So
Uh,
that was, I fascinated that you explored that, and that was what captured you at that time.
yes, and for me, I've brought it into the world of helping in the, we can call it mental health recovery world, in the sense that we don't take the time to really tap into that source. We
Hmm.
become so affected by the outside world. We bury things down so far we don't even know we're thinking about them anymore. And being creative in the sense that, what do you mean being creative? What does that mean? It doesn't mean, it's beyond the fact of you have more talent than I have, or I have more talent than you have. It's about how do we see something and allow ourselves to move into it in our own. And so today I work with young people and people who are struggling with addictions. to be able to find the deeper essence of themselves, to divine how they move beyond where they are. As in dance, we understand this. This is where I may be today. I do not know, and I cannot predict, and I cannot worry about tomorrow because I'm not there.
Yes, and so your transition, how you decided, how you became in the today that you are, between the Susan Lake who was doing the tango balls and being a dancer and being a choreographer, and I also know that you are an amazing designer. You have this collection of hats that I love it, and you do it yourself. How this persona that I met back then transition into the today?
I think it was, well, we can say it's gradual. And let me preface it by saying this. The heart of the dancer, the heart of the artist is who we are. And
Yes.
we take that with us through the rest of our life. How we're going to use it, we don't know until it envelopes, and there it is, you know. And we bring out our artistry many different ways in our life. For me, it was a series of steps. It was a series of, I was also very interested in education. Education in the philosophy of dance. Why, in the first place, do we want to dance? Why do we absolutely almost need to dance? You know, what is that about? And how that applies to the world we live in. And why can people live here? Some people live here just fine, and some people have a harder time. And how do we get rid of things that are traumatic in our life? And freedom of movement, freedom of nature, of sound is the essence of who we are. So when we return to those holistic things about ourselves, it's miraculous about how we change. I, eventually studied about spirituality more. I wanted to learn more about myself. And when we go in and we learn more about ourselves, we understand what is the next step for me to do. When we allow that inner knowing to become the dictator, so, or the speaker or the guider of our life.
And now, where are you? Where is how can you describe yourself today?
I think one might call me an innovator.
Okay.
One might call me an innovator. I feel that one of my callings in my life is to heal people. That comes in many different ways. I feel like every single day of our lives, we have to allow the universe, God, spirit, to speak to us about what is the next highest and best good for ourselves to be able to bring to those around us. And that's the most important thing I feel that we need to learn about our lives. We're not meant to stay on this straight line forever. We will take jogs off the line. They will ultimately bring us back in line to what is ahead for us. If we only can begin to understand, how do I take care of myself today? How do I be kind to myself today? And then you will instinctually be kind to other people. How and the gift of music, of art, of design, of dance is really a creative expression of who is in there coming out here. And
Yes.
when we do that and we affect an audience of hundreds or thousands, in our own way, we have begun to heal the world.
Do you think are you still dancing tango now, or no? It's something
Oh,
that is
my tango shoes are set right on up there on the shelf there. These days I don't have much occasion to do the tango, but it will always be an enormous part of my life. Not only in that I enjoyed it and did it and learned about the people, but the wonderful people I met along the way, and how we touched each other's life. And the gift is, can you see that? Can you see that?
You see that it was important part of your life.
Yeah.
And is any way that you now doing your new stage in life, new advice to other people, that you ever went back to a physical sensation that you explored through the tango in order to communicate something, or is very implicit and you don't have to go back there?
One of the new projects that was supposed to begin, in fact, in June before COVID-19 came about, was something that I've been working on, which is called the School of Recovery, a place where people learn how to move back into society and contribute in a positive way, not only to themselves, but everybody around them. And I think that as the school moves forward in that direction, being able to talk with, visit with, bring in artists who share what did they learn through movement? What did they learn? What did they think about how did I get out anger when I was a dancer? How did I get out anger? Again, back
So
to
you go back to this
yeah,
place, you
yeah,
use
you have
that.
to go back. You have to go back and allow yourself to go back and say, can you be vulnerable and say, you know, when I was going through this incident in my life, I was really angry. I felt I didn't have a voice. How did I move? How did I move during that time that when I felt differently, I moved this way? And in that, it's like, wow, I feel myself. I experience that. I get it. Yeah, that's why. Once I do that, I do feel differently. Yeah, very important.
That's fantastic. I would love to see that happen, that project happen. And if you one day think about tango as a possibility, because it's very much what I'm trying to tell people, that tango is a healing and it's a learning, it's a learning, it's an experience for you to learn about yourself and how you can relate it to others. So I see it very much in a spiritual way. I don't see it
Yeah,
so much into this, like you said, was very interesting on the beginning of our chatting, that you said that this idea of taboo, you know, that sometimes tango present that as a something very
mysterious. Very,
yes,
very.
very much, and also because imply sometimes too much the exposition of the sexuality into, and it's such a beautiful energy, the sexual energy, and it's not always to be using in a very promiscuous way, can be used as a very powerful energy to elevate your soul and be a better woman or better man, right?
Very important statement. I remember many years ago, we were doing a tango ball in San Diego, and the Union Tribune came to interview me about what we were going to do. I think it was during World Cart, the first competitions we did. And I remember back in the day, you know, I think I had that black hair, much like you. I was all dressed in black. I sat down with this woman. Janice Steinberg was the writer for the Tribune at the time, and she said to me, "So, why all black? You know, what is all the black? Why are tango dancers always in the black?" You know, and I thought about it for a moment, and I said, because black is a very powerful color. It isn't the deep, dark hole that people think of it as,
No, it's
but it
all
is
the colors there.
all the colors. I said it is all we are, all we hope to be, and all we were. And I said, in the power of black, we are left to our own senses. We are left to kind of look at ourselves introspectively, and we are on the floor to create whatever we want to create. There's a
Yes,
blank slate.
that's a great answer.
Yes. So that you know, and there alone tells you most people perceive certain things in a certain way, and they expect that that's how you're going to answer. And so to open the door for people to really consider things deeper than they ever have is also a gift. You know, the tango is very much about this is who we were. This is where we were sent from our countries over here. The common thread through most dance, especially the tango, is the rhythm, is the pulse.
It's
That's
the
what
pool.
ties it all together. And that is reflective of the heart, the pulse of the heart, the pulse of humanity, the pulse of how we move and live in the world. And so, you know, one could write a whole book on the philosophy of tango and how we live in the world.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, Susan, that's the idea of this, to connect with people who are not only tango was important in their life, they also move on to a different aspect, a different situation, a different career, but they always keep tango as something who helped them. And so that's the idea of me. And I wanted to share that because like you, it is other people up there that were very important in my life. I wanted you to know that I learned a lot about your input, about your streams to keep going, determination, and this is something very important. You never label yourself under one name, and you always open to new ways of become a better person. And I think that's something very unique in a society when everything is stay very much in a label, and we feel safe if we are a doctor, if we are called a painter or a dancer. You know, like if we call and we, okay, this is who we are, and we stay there. And I'm telling that because I discovered myself recently that all my life I was a dancer, and a dancer who have married, a dancer who have a kid, a dancer who have friend, but you always that. And now I start discovering that yes, I am also a woman who have other aspects. There are new, I don't know yet where that aspect to label that aspect, but dancer was a long big part of myself. This is what I've been doing. But and you're a motivation to me and to many people to said, okay, I was a dancer. Oh, I am a dancer who also now I'm a spiritual guy, and I'm, you know, like a,
Yes.
and still, what the more important is we are humans, and that's connecting with this essence is the key. So, and that's what I want to share this interview with you, because to be normally people who are want to watch this video are people, I hope people everywhere, but the people that I have access are people who are in the tango, and to be a tango dancer, first you need to understand who you are as a persona. So, and your tango is going to improve 100 times. So I want to thank you very much, and I hope we can see each other soon, and not like a and your next career or my next career. I hope we can see each other in this beautiful moment of your life. You look great.
Oh,
Uh,
it's been my
and
pleasure. I'm honored. I'm always honored to sit with you. Let's not make it another 20 years. Let's make it sooner than that. And I applaud you for all you do and how graciously you do it. And I know that everybody who gets to study and be with you walks away with a new part of themselves.
thank you, Sue. I
You're
send
very
your big
welcome.
kids and stay in line. I would just stop the recording so I can say goodbye also and without everybody watching.
Oh,
Love to you, okay?
thank you. Thank you.